Hey there, SoonlyWeds. Today we're going to be talking about something super fun that I know a lot of you guys have questions about, and that is wedding vendors. So let's go ahead and dive in and let's get all your questions answered. So yeah, today is day one of our vendor series. Super excited to bring you guys. I just feel like it's going to be super informative. I want to know everything that you guys think, what questions you have, what vendors most confuse you, what confuses you about them, and just really anything that you find tricky, so I can just go ahead and elaborate for you guys. I want to make it super easy. Now, there are many types of wedding vendors, and as a first-time SoonlyWed, couples often have no idea where to get started, not to mention who they need to talk to. To provide some context, here's a list of all the different vendors that often go into bringing a wedding to life. Now, bear in mind, you do not have to use all of them, but here's some of them that often go into it. So your venue, your wedding planner or coordinator, photographer, videographer, flowers, catering, wait staff, DJ, your hotel accommodations, hair stylist, makeup artist, rentals, alcohol and bartending, your officiant, your baker, and transportation. Now, when selecting your vendors, you'll need to consider the specific needs of your individual wedding, as well as your overall style, your budget, and the personality of each of your vendors, as you will be working with them. You'll need a balance of all four, so I highly suggest that you weigh all of them equally when you're looking. Now, each of these vendors has their own process, and because of this, you'll need to ask them all specific questions regarding their individual contribution to your wedding. So, throughout the series, we'll be covering what roles each of these vendors play on your big day, as well as which questions you should be asking them when interviewing potential vendors. To kick off the series, we'll be starting with basic questions that you'll need to ask each vendor no matter which category they fall into. And starting us off at number one is, how long have you been in the business and how did you get started? I want to start off by saying working with a vendor who has been formally trained does not guarantee that you'll be working with a capable professional. I say this to say, keep an open mind when you're interviewing potential vendors and look for their experience, their enthusiasm about their craft over strictly their education background. Just because a vendor is new to the business does not mean that they're the right vendor for you and a great choice for your individual celebration. Have you worked at our venue before? While it can be extremely helpful for vendors who already have a working knowledge of a venue and a relationship with their staff, it's not a deal breaker if they do not. Being a professional pretty much requires flexibility, which allows us to work in various venues and adjust to its specific needs as required. If there are particular concerns you have about your space, communicate them openly to your vendor team beforehand, and if it's at all possible, try to get them on site for a site visit, just for your own peace of mind and to ensure that everybody has an understanding of the space. How many events do you host in a weekend? How about in a day? Typically, this is usually more of an issue when working with smaller companies, as you want to ensure that they're sufficiently staffed. Naturally, working with a smaller company means a smaller staff, and you want the peace of mind of knowing that they'll be able to deliver their service in full. Also, be sure to ask if there are any travel fees associated with their location going to your venue. You don't want to be surprised with any big travel fees that you weren't anticipating. How would you describe your preferred style? I always find this to be such a key question. Asking vendors their preferred style allows you the perfect opportunity to hear how they envision themselves, their company, and their overall style. I'm a big believer in listening to people when they show you who they are, and that applies to vendors as well. If they clearly tell you they love quirky and colorful events and your style is sleek and minimalistic, find a vendor who aligns with your style and your aesthetic rather than trying to force that vendor to fit your style. Save yourself the headache and then the stress. Asking them about their preferred style gives you insight into who they are as a company, their values, and the types of events that they like to create. How far in advance do you book? So this is helpful for obvious reasons, as it gives you an idea as to when you need to secure your vendor if you would like to add them to your vendor team. I also find that it's helpful to ask how long the quote is valid for. That way you don't miss the quote's window of validity and you guys can just get them secured without having to ask again. Now, can you recreate something from a photo that we love? Striving to have vendors replicate another's work can not only limit their creative freedom, but it can also lead to miscommunication and lack of trust. Instead of insisting they copy someone else's work entirely, I like to advise couples to instead show vendors inspiration images that resonate with them and then listen for their willingness to evoke that style without copying it 100%. You want your vendors to feel empowered and trusted, and just remember that you guys have chosen them because they're professional. You've chosen them because you like the events that they create and you have a connection with them. Lean into that. Given our budget, theme, and ideas, do you think that you can work within our budget? Remember that if you change your ideas, your guest count, or anything drastically fundamental to your event, a vendor's estimate of what can feasibly be done within your budget may very well change. I always advise being clear about what you would like, being honest about your budget, how flexible it is, how much you guys can afford to spend on each piece from the very beginning, just to make sure that there's clear communication and all parties are on the same page. And this is just yet another example of why knowing your individual and joint wedding priorities are so important. Having your priorities in mind will automatically help you better assess the price point associated with each of the vendors, which will help you navigate budget questions and save you in the long run. How do you price your services? Do you have hourly rates or general packages? So should you wish to personalize or make adjustments to a package, this is immensely helpful to know because you can kind of anticipate how the fees are going to be affected. While you shouldn't be afraid to ask for any customizations or adjustments, bear in mind that a vendor does work very hard to craft their packages and therefore they may not have very much wiggle room allotted. If you really would like to customize your package and that's like one of you guys' priorities, I would highly advise you guys trying to find a vendor that does offer that service instead of, like we discussed before, trying to force that other vendor to hit the nail on the head and they just truly do not offer package customization. How much is it to add on additional hours? Is it possible to add on hours to the day of? So just in case you need to add on a few more hours, either because your venue requires it or you guys just really want to keep the party going, this is important to know because it kind of allows you to know how much flexibility you have with that decision, so that you guys can make the best decision for you. Sometimes with most vendors, it's usually as long as it's added on the day before the event, it's at a lesser fee than it would be to add it on the day of. So just ask so that you're aware of your options and you guys can make the best decision for you. What is your preferred payment schedule and your preferred method of payment? So managing vendor payments can be confusing as is, so knowing whether or not your vendor has a deposit and balance payment plan versus a deposit and monthly installments payment plan can make your life all the easier. Confirm your vendor's preferred method of payment, as well as their prearranged due dates and any penalties that may come due to late fees, all of those things. Just be open and honest and ask for an exact line item. Alright guys, so that about wraps it up for today's video. Like I said, the point of this video was just to dive in and give you guys an example of some base questions you are going to have to ask each of your vendors, no matter which category they fall into, to hopefully empower you guys as you go into these vendor interviews and give you an idea of what questions you kind of need to ask, which ones you don't. Like I said, this is only part 1 of the series, and as we continue on through the coming weeks, we will explore each of the individual vendors as well as what their roles are, their responsibilities, what questions you need to ask when you're holding interviews with potential vendors, and all that good stuff. So we have a bunch more content coming for you guys through the coming weeks. But yeah, let me know which vendor you guys want to see up next in part 2. Leave that info down in the comment. Leave me any questions you have about any particular vendors, any ways that I can be more helpful to you guys and give you more knowledge and guidance. Also, I am still developing my course, so if you guys can give me all the feedback you can, it'd be greatly appreciated. Please leave that stuff down on the comments, on my Instagram, my TikTok, Pinterest, wherever you guys can find me. Just shout me out, give me a little tidbits, let me know what you think and how I can be of help to you. I'm really trying to make this experience chock full of just knowledge and help and growth, and make it feel like you guys are really sitting there with me as the wedding planning client, going through all of the actual planning phases. Hopefully you guys are only going to be getting married once, and I really want you to look back on the process as a fun, enjoyable thing and not like a stress-induced headache, because you only get one shot, and I really want you guys to just have fond memories of it. So like I said, if there's anything I can do to help you guys along that path, that journey, please let me know. I'm here to help. That's it for today's video, guys. I hope that you enjoy it, and I'll see you in the next one. Later.